Hi there YouTube, Big G back again with another video, and how are you guys doing? Still crazy times here in South Africa with the lockdown. Our president just went and extended it by another 2 weeks. So we were meant to end on the 17th of April, today's the 11th, and now we got another 2 weeks. So, well, anyway, I thought I'd put the time to good use, and busy cleaning up and cataloguing my games room, and came across my old collection of banknotes, and started looking through them, and I thought to myself, you know what, I'm sure that you guys out there also collect other things besides video games. You know, if you're a collector of something, you're definitely going to be a collector of something else, and it's always interesting to see what others collect, whether it's stamps or cars or, you know, all sorts of things that we tend to collect. And I thought I'd quickly show you my banknote collection. I mean, I haven't pulled it out in years, and I came across it and I thought, oh well, look at this, maybe somebody else out there also collects banknotes. Oh, excuse that. So let's just jump straight into it. Here I've got a collection of old 1 Rand notes dating back to 1966, a whole lot of them. I've tried to collect them also in serial numbers. So back then 1 Rand was worth more than $1. The Rand, our South African Rand, was more powerful than the USA greenback. And the reason for that was that we had such a good economy, and we had a lot of natural mineral resources. But unfortunately we had apartheid. So we did away with apartheid. We've voted and got rid of it because of the pressure that was put on us, besides it being an evil system. We voted and got rid of apartheid, expecting the world to support us. And guess what? The world didn't support us. And now the greenback is worth not less than one of these. It's now 19 of these to $1. So there must be a moral in that story somewhere. We did the right thing, got rid of apartheid, and the rest of the world took advantage of us, and now our currency is worth 19 Rand to $1. Makes you think, eh? Okay, so that's the 1 Rand notes. And just some more here. 2 Rand notes dating back to 1973. And I can specifically remember one of these 2 Rand notes, because this was my pocket money back then, when I had a little motorbike, a little 50cc motorbike to get to school and back. And that used to fill up the tank. That used to fill up the tank of petrol on that motorbike. And I think it was a 5-litre tank. So you can imagine what petrol must have been like back then, before our currency was killed. 5 Rand notes dating back to the 1970s. And then we move on to 10 Rands. 10 Rand from 1973, 1966. You can see they were bigger, then they sort of shrink in size. And then way back to 1961, a 20 Rand note, really old note, with old Jan van Riebeck on the cover there, who history is sort of trying to get out of the history books. It's always incredible how the progressives try to get rid of the old history, break down the statues, get rid of history. First thing they do. But you guys will get to experience that in your own countries. Now, here's the greenback. I got $1 notes, a whole lot of them. So maybe I should just hold on to them, because the longer it takes, you know, back then when I had these, it was 1 for 1. Now it's 19 1 Rands to one of these. Crazy, eh? A New Zealand $1 note. And here's an Australian $5 note, and a Scotland £1. Must be some history there. I'm not too knowledgeable of the history there in the UK with Scotland. And yeah, very interestingly, Zimbabwe. Here's some old notes here. Rhodesia. Now, I had a lot of aunts and uncles that lived in Rhodesia before they were kicked out. All the farms were seized, and Robert Mugabe took over the country, the breadbasket of Africa, and the whole world supported him. And the poor Rhodesians, yeah, they lost their country, and now it's an absolute hellhole. Yeah, What can you say about it? Must be a moral there as well for you to think about. A breadbasket of Africa cannot even feed itself under Robert Mugabe and the next dictator and the next dictator. I've actually got, my dad has got a couple of Zimbabwean notes that are not big enough, or they battle to fit all the zeros on. With their economy, they just kept on printing paper. It's what you would call African economy, and eventually it was like $50 billion notes, which couldn't buy one single loaf of bread. So poor old Zimbabwe, or Rhodesia. Then we move on to Botswana. Botswana, the Pula, doing very well. One of the African countries doing very, very well. Mozambique, over here, here's another Mozambique, 1914. Look at that. I don't know if you can actually see that one. Let me see if I move it along here. Just move that out of the way. There's a 1914 10 centavos Mozambican note. Russian rubles. Here's a 1905 3 Russian ruble note. A 3. I've never seen a note with the denomination 3 on it. It's always 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, and so forth. But a 3 ruble note. And I won't take it out, but if you take these out, they are paper thin. I've got 2 of them. They're absolutely paper thin. Here's a 1,000 lira Italian note from 1990. Move on to Bulgaria, 1951, Bulgaria, 10 leva. Soviet 1 ruble from 1961. And it always amazes me, I mean, if you have a look here, 1905, so this is before Stalin had his purges, the millions and millions of people that he killed and murdered of his own people, put them in gulags. I watched the other night on a documentary on this one island where he dumped 6,000 people in a gulag in the middle of nowhere in Siberia, and only 2,200 people got off that island. Part of his collectivism, you know, one of those fundamental precepts of communism, which suddenly all the progressives nowadays, they love communism for some reason. I don't know. We fought against communism back when I was younger, and quite rightly so, and yet the modern day progressives, liberals, love communism. Can't understand it. But anyway, coming back to that island, on this island over here, back then, it was in the 1930s, 4,000 people perished, and that was due to starvation and cannibalism. They had to eat each other to survive on that island. Absolutely crazy. And yet people still love communism. Can't believe it. Absolutely. They say you got to learn from history. People do not learn from history. Absolutely not. Because otherwise I wouldn't see people like Bernie Sanders. Although I see he's out of the race, thank heavens. I mean, Bolshevik, Marxist Bernie Sanders wants to be president of America. Absolutely crazy. There's an Italian 10 lira from 1935. Russian 500 ruble from 1993. Albanian. I mean, you know, whenever I look at Russian or Albanian or any of those sort of money, oh, what a similar look to them. And I don't know if it's because of the writing or the alphabet or however. Here's Albanian 5 leka, 1976. It's always got these people working and so forth. So maybe that's to do with the communist past. 200 rubles from 1992. And now we move on to Croatia. 1,000 dinara, 1991. Back to Africa, kwacha, Zambia. The 100 kwacha. Don't have a date on it, but it looks like a modern note. Where I saw dates, I put them on. Yes, 10 Deutsche Mark, 1980. 10 Deutsche Mark. But coming back to Deutsche, part of my family history is we come from German descendants, obviously, who came to South Africa. But it's very, very sad to see what's happening in Germany at the moment with all the progressives over there. Sad, very sad. But I suppose it's the way they want it. Moving on to Mauritius, 50 rupees, 1986. You know, rupees, always thought of rupees as being Indian, but it says here 50 rupees. Bank of Mauritius, well, here's Bank of Mauritius, 10 rupees. Bank of Mauritius, 1967, 10 rupees. Yeah, yes, from Brazil, very strange looking note. When I looked at this note and it's torn over there, I thought, oh well, somebody's taken two notes, tore them, and then glued them back together with the heads opposite way around. Ha ha, very funny. No, that's actually how it goes. 1,000 cruzeiros from Brazil. Here's another one over here. 100 cruzeiros from Brazil. And then we have $10, Hong Kong dollars, from 1976. Was that before it was given back to China? I can't remember now. Hong Kong being part of China now, and the fun and games that China's done to the rest of the world. Man, have they got the world fooled and eating out the palm of their hand. And obviously being communist, and me against communism, so I don't have a lot of love for China at the moment, or ever have, because of it being communist. Greek, 100 drachmas, 1967, the Greeks having lots of fun and games in their part of the European Union. I can never understand that. Why would you belong to a European Union? It makes absolutely no sense to me. Give up your borders, give up your sovereignty, give up the control of your own country just for economic reasons. Give away the right to rule your own country. Absolute madness. I understand fully why the UK wanted to do Brexit as a sovereign nation. You know, rule yourselves. Never ever give up the sovereignty of your nation, ever. So I can never understand why Netherlands and all those other countries joined the European Union, opened their borders, and now will suffer for it until they are no longer, you know, more than likely in 2 or 3 generations time they'll all speak the same language. They'll all look the same, you know, they'll all be brown because of the intermingling and everything that'll be forced upon them. Yeah, strange. They'll lose their cultures, lose what they thought of as being their own, simply because they wanted to join a union. Doesn't work, never will work, can't ever see it working. Spain, 100 pesetas, 1948. 1948. 2005, 50 shillings Kenya. Banco de Angola, 1973, 100 escudos. And it's got this lovely look of, I don't know who's that, Diaz or one of those guys on there. That, yeah, it's definitely got that Portuguese look to it, and Angola being Portuguese colony as well. What was that? Mozambique. Mozambique was a Portuguese. Yeah, well, Angola as well, I suppose. Angola, 100 kwanza. My history is a little bit rusty. You know, things change so fast here in Africa, you don't know who's who in the zoo anymore. Egypt, these are very interesting. I love these notes over here. Here's a 1967 Central Bank of Egypt, £1. 50 piastras, 1981, Egyptian. £1 Egyptian, 1996. And you see something's written on there. Egypt, Cairo, 1997. And on the other side there it says, to my friend so-and-so, I will always be your friend, Ahmed. Very Egyptian name. Oh yes, to Sean. And then on this side it said Egypt, Cairo. So obviously there must have been a friendship there in Cairo, and yeah, the guy wrote, Egyptian wrote on there and gave it to his friend. Lovely history, I love that. I'd love to know what happened there. Central Bank of Egypt, 25 piastras. Turkish 20 lira, 20,000 lira, 1970. United Arab Emirates, 10 dirhams. And yeah, that's the end of it. And you know, it's not a main collection of mine. I'll pick up a note if I'm at an auction. And sometimes at auctions they'll sell notes, and I'll pick them up. But there's a moral to this as well. You know, if you look at every country here, they're all very different. Very, very, very different. I mean, they've all got their own histories, their own way, their own notes, their own denominations, which I find fantastic. And that's because that is the country they are. And that's why I don't believe in globalism or any of that nonsense, where they want one currency for everybody throughout the world, one language, one of everything, and no borders. And it's so sad that there are people out there that actually believe that that is a good thing. And obviously it's because they've been brainwashed, and that's what they teach them in universities these days, all this brainwashing, so that they can convert the young, so that they can break down their borders, join these unions, do away with borders, become communists and so forth. Very, very, very sad. Because, yeah, you can't lose your culture, and your culture is represented even in the money that's over here. So it's interesting. I love the you know, collecting the monies from all around the world. It's much like stamps, I'm sure. Every country has its own look and feel, and that's the way it should be. It should have its own look and feel. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that, my little bit of a ramble on my notes collection. You know, we're in lockdown, getting bored. So now I'm revisiting some of my old collections. I mean, I haven't opened this book, this folder here, in absolute ages. Just found it lying underneath one of my tables and thought, look at, yeah, here's my old note collection. Started paging through it, and it brought back all the memories, all the old monies, and so forth, that we used to use in the past over there. And you know, you've got to learn from the past, and a lot of the money represents the good and the bad of the past. So yeah, lots of morals in there. Okay guys, cheers from me, and remember, keep it retro.